In this video, we're going to cover how I programmed a Python script to find trade opportunities for the game OldSchool Runescape and how you can too. In particular, we'll go over how to retrieve pricing data from an API provided by the game's Wikipedia, how to process said data with Python's data science libraries, how we can export it for easy consumption with Google Sheets, and lastly, how we can locally automate the execution of our new script with Docker and Task Scheduler. But first, let's go over how this project came to be. For 25 years, OldSchool Runescape has endured as one of the world's most popular MMORPGs. An aspect of it that has interested me in recent years has been its marketplace. It's one of the few sources of asynchronous money making in the game. By that, I mean the income generated from it isn't dependent on constant attention. Place an order, come back to it later. This contrasts to other activities that require constant attention, like defeating bosses or item crafting. With time, it has become an activity that I've been able to find some success with. A big piece of that success has been due to the price database that the game's wiki provides for free. Through it, I've been able to set up a filter that I use to narrow down potential trade opportunities specific to my liking. But it's not perfect. I'll go over why soon. The consequence of this imperfection, though, is that I currently have to keep track of the several items that reliably make me money. Yeah, and with RAM prices the way that they are, I want to address this. Alright, so why a custom filter? Look at this chart for drag and dart tips. Notice the margin. Supposedly, this is the profit you will receive, as it is the deduction of the buy price from the sale price. This is not the case. For you see, RuneScape's marketplace has a 2% tax coded into it, so some profits that you think you'll make will actually be losses. Something else that is not exactly an issue with the wiki, but that I want to capture, are these ranges here on the price chart. More specifically, if we look at this magic longbow chart, we can see sporadic periods in time where profitable opportunities present themselves. Otherwise, it isn't lucrative enough. So in short, I need to devise a way to break down this chart such that I can A. Isolate these top prices, and B. Determine the frequency of them and how spread out they are. Once that is done, we'll have a custom filter. As mentioned at the start, this will be a Python project. In order to organize any dependencies and libraries I might need, I need a package manager. Consulting collective wisdom, UV seems a popular choice, so let's go with that. With Python installed, we can go to the astral.sh website and use the curl command to install UV. With that done, we then initialize a new project and we're ready to begin. Before we tackle our two objectives, we need data. On the RuneScape's wiki's pricing page, we'll find a link to some API endpoints that we can consume for said data. There are 4 things that I'll need from these endpoints, 3 of which I can copy and paste manually to a file. The 4th I'll need to call on a recurring basis. Starting with the latter, the time series API is called via HTTP GET request. It has 2 URL parameters we must set. The time step, which in this case makes each data point comprise 5 minutes worth of data, and the item ID, as each item in OSRS has a number ID associated with it. In the response, we get back a timestamp, the ask and bid price, and additionally, their respective volumes. This is the code I wrote to retrieve it. In order to perform the HTTP call, I added the requests library to this project using UV add requests. Before we make our call, we'll have to do a minor augmentation to our HTTP request. For you see, the API developers have kindly requested that we provide a custom user agent header in the request payload that we send. Thankfully, they provide a link to an example of how to implement this custom header, which is nice to see. With that out of the way, let's move on to the manual data we'll need. The first thing we'll need to get is the mappings for each item's name and their corresponding ID. To retrieve them, click on this obscure link and proceed to copy the JSON response provided. We can then paste this data to a new file in our code editor. Now before we continue, I'm going to take the additional step here and make a script to swap around the data. By doing this, we can now use the item ID to access the item name. I want to do this because another API that we'll use provides us a list of item IDs for items that can actually be traded. So by setting the item ID as the key, we can easily retrieve the names of items that can be traded. Next, let's retrieve the 4-hour buy limits for each item. Under the mappings endpoint, we'll find a list of objects containing various bits of information related to an item. Let's copy it and paste it to another file. Now, what we care about from this is the buy limit volume. So to extract it, I'm going to make another one-off script This script will strip down the data to the item's name and its buy limit. I use the item's names here instead of the ID purely for the sake of readability. If you wanted to optimize performance, then use the ID instead. Lastly, we'll need to grab a list of every active item that's being transacted. This will act as our source of truth. When we run our main program, we'll loop over every item ID in this list and retrieve their related time series data, names, and buy limits that we'll then use to produce our spreadsheet of data. With our time series data required, we can now move on to solving the two core problems outlined at the beginning of this video. Let's start with the price bands. How can we isolate these price extremities? When I first started this project, I did not have an answer to this question. But eventually, a word came to mind after staring at the price chart for a while: distribution. Because if you strip away the time dimension, you are left with a distribution of prices. Delving deeper, we are after the top and bottom ends of those distributions. The concept that directly captures these distributions are quantiles, or more specifically, percentiles. This is now where we require the assistance of a data frame library, as among other things, they provide a convenient method for us to calculate these values. Thankfully, Python has a few of these libraries. For this project, I'll be using one called polars. In order to run it, we need to load our time series data into a data frame to process. Here, you can see the code that I implemented to achieve this. Now, let's tackle our second objective: measuring the frequency and time spread of the prices we have just isolated. Solving this had me stumped. I don't have a formal background in statistics, so honestly, I had no idea if this could be done. So I started where most people would, and consulted Google. Unfortunately, the results weren't conclusive or seemed relevant enough. So as a last resort, I consulted an LLM. I gave it a general description stating how I wanted to measure the spread of a time-stamped set. In response, it predicted, based on what I was describing, that I should use a statistical method like chi-squared or Shannon's entropy. It also generated a small-scale Python example containing both. Upon running it, and after some initial debugging, the entropy result achieved more or less what I had wanted. And after probing into how the generated algorithm worked, I integrated it alongside the rest of my price filtering logic. Now all that remained was outputting the data to Google Sheets and automating the script execution. But prior to that, I wanted to model the end result. This was simple to do, as all I needed was a way to generate a CSV. Thankfully, exploiting to a CSV is a baseline feature for many of these data frame libraries, so I invoked it and was on my way. After importing to Google Sheets, I played around with the formatting a bit till I was satisfied. With that completed, it was time to automate the spreadsheet data injection. Going into this with no background knowledge, I had absolutely no idea about the nuances of the Google API. Turns out, public and private spreadsheets have different security requirements. The former requires OAuth configuration in order to be set up. This is shown on the Google API's docs page, right under the Python example. Our private spreadsheet doesn't need this. All it requires for automation purposes is a bot, otherwise known as a service account. To set it up, create a project in Google Cloud, authorize the Google Sheets API, create a service account bot, and then under it, create a JSON key. You can then share the bot's email with your spreadsheet and use the JSON key file in your code. Now I'm going to confess, by this point in the project, I was getting fed up with pouring through non-relevant documentation like that Google example. So much so that I basically let AI generate the gspread library boilerplate that's needed next. gspread is a wrapper library that allows us to export our data to our Google spreadsheet. With the app development done, what remained was automating the execution of the Python script, because something that I wanted out of this project was that I didn't want the execution of the script to be reliant on my project setup and all the dependencies that entails. Therefore, making the script portable was a requirement. To achieve that, I needed to containerize my application with Docker. I won't be giving a conceptual rundown of Docker here, as others can explain the technology better than I. Thankfully, UV's documentation provides examples of how to set up a Docker file for our project. For a quick walkthrough, first we define the base image / operating system. Then, we copy the files from our local machine onto the image we'll be generating. With our files present, we can then ask UV to compile and synchronize the project. At the end of it all, we run our application. With the Docker file written, we can now build the image, and once that is done, we can run it. So now we have an image that we can spin up at will. But see, I'm lazy, and I don't want to manually have to turn on the script every 4 hours. I want this script to run automatically. Something cool we can do to achieve this is to take the command that we use to run a Docker image and simply hook it up to a task scheduler in Windows. Alternatively, you can use a cron job in Ubuntu. For Windows, open up a task scheduler, create task, go to Actions tab, New, add PowerShell as the program to call. Under Arguments, add the Docker run command for PowerShell to execute. Once done, then open the Triggers tab and set the timing of your choosing. I'm choosing every 4 hours due to the OSRS buy limit. I want the script to run every interval that I'm able to trade items I have recently sold. Once you hit Create, you can now run the task. With that, this project is complete. To recap, every item has a set of bid prices and a set of ask prices. For our table here, the prices shown are a percentile value from the set. Remember what I said earlier about distributions. The target max price percentile we are using here is 0.97, or the 97th percentile. The percentile for the target minimum price is 0.1, or the 10th percentile. The margin column is the difference between these two prices, with a 2% tax applied to it. The margin limit column represents the amount of profit we stand to make within a 4-hour period. It is the multiplication of our margin and the 4-hour buy limit value. We then have the uniformity columns. These are measuring the entropy of the bid and ask prices. How this works is that for every transaction above the target max price and below the target minimum price, we record their timestamps. We then sort them across the 24 hours of a day. Then we calculate how many entries appear each hour as an average, and then use those values to calculate how spread they are across a 24-hour time period. At least that's how I've understood it. Lastly, we have the equivalence and the average columns. These values are a combined measurement of the max uniformity and the minimum uniformity. The equivalence measures how close these two values are. The average measures the midpoint between the two. These are just additional values that I've defined to measure quality. Now, is this spreadsheet perfect? No. For example, taking a look at the Dragon Dart Tip price chart, we can see the limitation of the calculation. Sometimes we get unlucky with the clustering of the prices. But for others, like the Dragon Bolts chart, we're able to capture perfectly the exact setup that we're looking for. But has this project been worthwhile? Yes. Aside from the time benefits that are now saved going forward from leveraging coding here, I can say that this tool has done its job in identifying new item opportunities to trade. For instance, this chart here for mahogany planks. That being said, there is room for improvement, and changes we can possibly go over in a future video. For example, maybe adding a weighting or a biasing for more recent timestamp data to eliminate the clustering issue. Another example would be doing some backtesting in order to find the optimal percentile values. If you watched to the end, I hope you enjoyed the video. Do consider liking and subscribing, and more importantly, let me know what you enjoyed about this video. See you next time. Cheers.